Hello everyone, welcome to MRU E-Learning powered by Malla Reddy University. I am Harita R, Assistant Professor, Department of English. I would like to begin the presentation with an image. This is an image of an assignment submitted by one of my students when they are given an exercise to write a cover letter to be attached with their resume. The intention behind that exercise was to make students familiarize with professional writing techniques and formats. When we look at this cover letter, we can find the following. Incorrect use of square brackets. There are unnecessary capital letters in the middle of the sentences. Some words are randomly made bold. Overall, there is a clear lack of effort in writing. It could be a copy generated through an AI model. In that case, it also shows poor prompting skills, which again require writing practice. So, what will happen when you send a cover letter like this to an employer? You simply don't stand out. We may end up like the chitty robots lined up in the climax scene of the film Enthiran, all identical, mechanical, and lacking uniqueness. How do we overcome this? How do we stand out? I would say that we can stand out if we prioritize originality, creativity, and ethics in our writing. This presentation will discuss how we engage in ethical writing or how we can write right. Let's begin with the basic question. Why ethics in writing matter for professionals? Writing is part of everyday work. We create emails, reports, proposals, documentation, and research papers as part of our everyday work. Technical work depends on clear, structured communication. Complex ideas and data must be communicated accurately. Poor writing leads to confusion, errors, and delays. Strong writing strengthens research and innovation. Clear documentation and well-written papers help communicate new ideas, secure funding, and collaborate effectively. Ethics in writing builds professionalism and credibility. Clear, polished communication reflects competence and reliability. Hence, to write ethically, we need to be honest, clear, responsible, and respectful. If these values are not followed, we may end up doing plagiarism. What is plagiarism? It is the act of using someone else's words, ideas, or work without giving proper credit and presenting it as your own. It is considered academic dishonesty. It can lead to penalties. It damages your credibility as a student or professional. However, that being said, we know that we can't write without resources. We need data, information, ideas, and point of views to substantiate our ideas while writing. How can we ethically make use of resources? Writing requires resources like data, information, viewpoints, and ideas. However, using someone else's ideas as our own is unethical and violates academic integrity. How we can use resources responsibly and ethically? Acknowledge all sources of information, cite, quote, and paraphrase correctly. Give credit to original authors for their work and ideas. Ensure your writing includes your own analysis, understanding, and interpretation. So, citing sources and using citation styles. We should always acknowledge the original author or source of any idea, information, or data used. Use a suitable, consistent citation style throughout your work. Examples are APA, MLA, Chicago, IEEE. Provide in-text citation wherever necessary. A brief reference with the body of the text that directs the reader to the full source in the reference list. That is an in-text citation. There are open source reference management tools that help us collect, organize, cite, and share research sources efficiently. One of such tools is Zotero. Acknowledge any source. Let it be a textual resource such as books, journals, articles, magazine, archival materials, or public documents, or let it be digital resources such as websites, blogs, social media posts, online videos, films, or visual and creative sources such as paintings, images, photographs, artworks, or oral or experimental sources such as interviews, lectures. So anything, you should cite appropriately. And this is the Chicago Manual of Style reference of a book and a website. So let's see what is in-text citation. When using quotes in your writing, first make sure to put quotation marks around the exact words you are borrowing. This shows clearly that what is taken directly from the source. It's best to keep your quotes short and only use the parts that really support your point. Right after the quote, you should add the citation so people know exactly where the quote comes from. And finally, don't rely too much on quotes. Your own writing and ideas should be the main part of your work. When you are citing resources, remember to include both direct quotes and ideas you have paraphrased in your writing. Don't just rely on any source. Avoid citing unreliable or non-academic ones unless it is really appropriate for your work. Paraphrasing means taking someone else's ideas or information and putting them into your own words while keeping the original meaning. It is a way to explain or summarize what you have read without copying the exact wording. Next point is one of the most important part of ethical writing, the ethical use of language. Use language that is fair and non-discriminatory. Recognize how words can reinforce or challenge social inequalities related to gender, caste, religion, region, disability, or identity. Respect individual privacy and boundaries. Avoid sharing personal details or narratives without consent. Protect people's dignity. Honor confidentiality in communication. Responsible writing involves safeguarding sensitive information and respecting institutional or personal trust. Use inclusive and socially conscious language. Choose words that recognize diversity, avoid stereotypes, and represent people fairly. Avoid language that may harm, trivialize, or marginalize. Be mindful of historical, cultural, and social contexts that influence how words impact different groups. Now, ethical use of AI for writing. Use AI as a tool for brainstorming, outlining, and generating ideas, not for copying entire text. Personalize, revise, and critically evaluate AI-generated content to reflect your own voice and understanding. Acknowledge AI assistance when required in academic or professional context. Ensure the final work demonstrates your originality, judgment, and intent, not automated output. That being said, I have used AI tools to assist in preparing this presentation, ensuring they were used ethically to support clarity and structure while keeping all ideas and decisions. I will conclude this presentation with the story of Frankenstein, a novel written in 1818 by Mary Shelley. It tells the story of Victor Frankenstein, a scientist whose curiosity and ambition drive him to create life. Using parts of deceased human bodies, he brings a creature to life. However, horrified by the creature's monstrous appearance, Frankenstein abandons it and flees. Left alone, the creature tries to approach humans and befriend them. But people react with fear and aggression, rejecting and mistreating it. Over time, the creature grows bitter and vengeful, blaming Frankenstein for its suffering and isolation in a world where no one shows it kindness. Consumed by anger, the creature ultimately takes revenge, leading to the tragic death of its creator. The story is more than a gothic tale. It is a lesson in ethics and responsibility for all creators, whether writers, engineers, or content creators. Frankenstein reminds us that creating something, be it technology, idea, or art, carries responsibility for its impact. Ignoring the consequences of our creations or failing to guide and care for them can lead to harm. As creators, ethical foresight, responsibility, and accountability are as important as creativity and innovation. So let's write right.